Part 8. The Orc and the Dragon. Strowther had refused to meet at Matchsticks, which put everyone on edge. The four shadow runners drove in silence through the streets of Bremerton. J.T. shifted uneasily in the back seat, trying to find a way to get comfortable without upsetting his bandages. Between J.T. getting shot and the fact that they were fragging with a dragon, Cat didn't know if they were walking into a meet or an ambush. They arrived at the GPS coordinates as the sun climbed into the morning sky. They pulled up next to a large blue dockhouse, riddled with bird dreck. Its paint was chipped and aging, and its roof was covered in thick patches of moss. It looked like it had been abandoned for years. Cat hopped out of the car and started toward the house, Kitsune, J.T., and Hegemon close behind her. J.T. moved his hand toward the damp, rotting door and quickly hesitated. "Should we knock? I feel like this door will break if I even breathe too hard in its direction." "Oh, for frag's sake!" Kitsune rolled her eyes and turned to the rusted handle, heading in without even bothering to announce herself. J.T. shrugged, following her, and nodded for everyone else to do the same. As they walked in, they were struck by air heavy with dust and what must have been the remains of 1,000 dead insects. Cat spied the dwarf Julius Strowther to their left, pacing the length of a dusty metal table, with 4 chairs on one side and a single chair on the other. He looked nervous. Cat started to speak, but thought better of it. Instead, she walked swiftly over and caught Julius Strowther's eye. He managed to look both startled and weary. He gestured silently toward the 4 chairs and took his lone seat opposite them. Cat helped J.T. into one of the chairs and sat down beside him. The others sat and waited for their fixer to begin. Strowther coughed into his sleeve. He wiped his chin and stared at Cat. "You find it okay?" "Yeah, Strowther. Drag, why did you drag us out here?" He shrugged. "The data you got me was good. Too good. Mr. Johnson thinks it gives him the firepower he needs to challenge Atine head on." "You mean go after his businesses?" Strowther paused, fished for a cigarette, and snapped open a lighter with his other hand. After a long drag, he continued. "No, I mean go after him." Cat could see his hands shaking when he took a second drag. "We've known for some time that Atine maintains a private residence on Council Island. We also know that the island is exclusive to Nan tribal interests. Our Mr. Johnson couldn't understand how a Korean dragon earned a prime spot on an island full of Native Americans." Hegemon cut in. "What is there to understand? Atine is a dragon. If you say no, he'll eat you and burn down your village, or some such dreck." Kitsune spoke. "Our tribes are responsible for the great ghost dance. Atine can't go around laying claim to our sacred land and expect us to get over it. When we pull together, we have the mojo to fight back. Besides, this is still Dunkelzand's domain. I'm not sure Atine even has the right to go to war here." Cat saw the conversation slipping away. She cleared her throat loudly and asked, "So what changed?" Strowther's turned to her. "He saw your file." The 4 runners exchanged glances, not quite understanding the connection. Strowther exhaled a puff of smoke and continued. "What Cat found was essentially a service order. Atine was moving major merchandise to the Cascade Orc tribe. The guns represent his part of the deal. In return, the Orcs are giving him 4 dozen clean SINs. A murmur rippled through the runners. None of the 4 even had sins. Cat looked into it once, but the cost of a single system identification number was astronomical. Even then, a SIN was either stolen off some downtrodden wage slave or belonged to a corpse. Only governments had the power to generate new SINs. Governments like the Native American nations. Cat whistled. "Are you saying the Cascade Orc created these SINs for him? Why would they do that? Why would he need them?" Strowther's attention wandered from the rafters to the door and back to Cat. "That's beyond my pay rate. And yours. What I do know based on that file is the Cascade Orcs are bringing those SINs in tomorrow night. They're meeting with one of Ateen's contacts in the Orc Underground in 2 days' time." Hegemon winced. "There's a saying down there. No tusks, no service." Strowther shifted in his seat, attention drifting back to the rafters. JT noticed it this time, and his right hand fell to his lap where a Ruger Superhawk waited. JT barked, "You never did answer Cat's question, Strowther. You mind telling us what has you so spooked?" The dwarf's eyes locked on the street samurai. "You mind pointing that pea-shooter somewhere else?" Cat could feel tension filling the air like gas. She held her hands out, palms up. "We all noticed it, Julius. Now you tell us what's going on, or we are done here." The old fixer leaned forward and took a deep pull on his cigarette and laughed. "Cat, maybe you need to tell your chummers here what they've gotten themselves into. Or should I tell them about the bounty on you?" She could feel the others staring at her. Hegemon slid his chair away, as if the handful of inches made a difference. She choked down the urge to curse at him, and said, "Look, guys, it's no big deal. Just a misunderstanding. It doesn't have anything to do with this." JT growled, "Sounds like a big deal, Cat." Strowther continued. "Gangers from the Crimson Crush came around the club yesterday asking questions. They even threw a couple of new yen my way to spread the word. When they didn't leave, I decided to have our talk somewhere out of the way. I don't think I was followed, but being this close to a bullseye makes me nervous. You're becoming too hot to deal with, Cat." Her palms felt damp. She rubbed them along the arms of her chair as she gathered her thoughts. "I didn't want to distract my crew. The bounty is my business. I'll handle it. Now let's talk about how 3 humans are going to walk into the Orc Underground and pull off a heist." JT glared at Cat for a long moment. Then he sighed and set his gun hand on the table, fingers thrumming nervously. "Okay, business. What sort of security are we dealing with?" Strowther seemed to relax into the question. He said, "I did the legwork on this one. The Cascade Orcs are sending a dignitary in a 5-man security detail. The dignitary will be carrying a briefcase chained to his wrist. My contacts tell me the briefcase is just a decoy. The SIN data is stored on a set of dog tags worn by the chief security officer. You need to get those dog tags, and either steal or clone that data." Hegemon leaned back, scratching at the stubble beneath his chin. "Where is, the exchange?" "Ateen's estate on Council Island. He is hosting a private concert, and plans to make the exchange at the concert." Kitsune threw her hands up. "Well, that's it then. We'll take our cut now and go home. There is no way we can get onto Council Island with the gear we need, let alone break into Ateen's lair." The dwarf took another drag on his cigarette. "If this is what you want, there is a way. I understand if you don't want to go any further. You've hit every goal I asked of you so far, and with the new yen you've made, you'll be set up for months. If you don't, I'll sweat. I have another crew. Ank's crew. That can handle the work." He was lying. She knew it. Every fixer has a backup plan, but using Ank's crew was just another dig at her. He knew she would never let Ank cost her a job. This was Kat's chance for vengeance. She knew it, and so did Strowther. Kat stood up and shook her head. "We finish what we started." JT chuckled and shifted uncomfortably. "You talking about all of us?" Kat answered with a glare.